Michael Wilkes. Sam Lacavera. And Gary Thayer. Enjoy the show.
What's going on, guys? This is Gary. I am here. Man, what did we just watch? What did we just watch today? The Browns got mauled by the Bears today. It was an ugly one. It definitely was not a fun one to watch. Thank you guys for everybody who is watching here. This was a hard game to watch here. Defense did not look good. Offense did not look good. Man, there are just a lot of questions here. What did you guys think? What did you see today? A lot of texting and talking with a lot of friends and some of the guys throughout the game. Shadur, he was running for his life today, but you can't blame it on the offensive line. It's this, he's got to figure out a way. But I still saw a lot of things that I liked from him today. So I'm a Sanders fan, man. I'm sticking with him. I'm still in a position where even if you're in a position where you are there to grab Mendoza, I don't know if I'm grabbing him. I think I want to build around Shadur. Yeah, Adam. Browns. Some of the Browns knew they had a game today. Did see some really big, good plays there from Shadur today. That bomb to Isaiah Bond, dude. Jerry Jeudy. Talking about just like giving one away. Shadur, you couldn't have put it more into his chest than he did. I don't know for how many years have I seen other quarterbacks for other teams make plays like that. You've seen guys like Brett Favre and Peyton Manning, just literally thread the needle, put it right in there. I mean, he put it right in his basket. It was right there. And I just cannot believe what we saw there. I mean, that guy could not have intercepted it like that. Had that not happened. Jerry Jeudy, I don't know. I don't know what you do with that guy at this point. What do you do here? I think that this game, you got the quarterback. I think we have the quarterback, man. Like that, this performance did not dissuade me one bit that the Browns have the quarterback to build around for the future. You now know that you can, for me, if I'm the Browns, if the Browns have any sense at all, they are building around Shadur Sanders. And I think that's it. Some of the throws that he made today, I mean, let's remember, this is his fourth game in the NFL. We're at the end of the season here, but this is his fourth game in the NFL. Played a very good team. This isn't the Bears of the last couple years. I'm there. There was there was absolutely no run game. Nobody was getting open. He made some throws today, man. He stood in that pocket. Instead of scooting around, all those Shadur Sanders haters, talk about him, moving back and around. He was moving in straight lines forward in the pocket. I don't know, man. It wasn't perfect. It was still his fourth game, man. But I know that there's no miracle coming out of the draft. there's nobody coming out of the draft next year that you're going to plug in there that's going to be anything better than what you're going to have with Shedeur. And that's not a slight on Sanders, because I think Sanders has got a chance to be a really good quarterback. You know, Greg thinks it was rock bottom. I mean, that was a bad game for the defense. It was a bad back-to-back game for the defense, really. Got that one of those last touchdowns. What did he break, like 4 or 5 tackles? Ran through 4 or 5 Browns there. I mean, that was backbreaking for the defense. I mean, that's. I think that if you are making, if you are going to make a change at the end of the year, and you were thinking about retaining anybody on that defense as far as bringing them to being head coach, this starts to bring some of that away, because that defense, the defense is starting to give up there, as you could see. I love Schwartz, but it's going to be hard if the defense keeps playing with this effort for the rest of the year. I know things have been bad. I know that you got one of your main defensive tackles hurt right now, but you can't have a guy that loses his squad then be promoted to head coach. So no Jerry Jeudy flips today, Joshua, but we did have a Jerry Jeudy literally hand the defense the ball while in the end zone. Yeah, I mean, he handed the ball off. So, it's like, and once a game, Jerry Jeudy does something that you've never seen before, which usually, if you're not from Cleveland, that's something that you get very, very, very excited for. If you're from New York and you have a guy that does something that you've never seen before, it's usually like 5 home runs in a game, right? But when you're from Cleveland, it's Jerry Jeudy handing the ball off to, the opposite team in the end zone. ESPN made that documentary Believe Land too soon. We thought that we were done with all of that stuff, and we are not. Thank you, Jerry Jeudy, for bringing us back down. LeBron James, he did break that streak, but only to restart another one. And this Baker Mayfield, Deshaun Watson, now Jerry Jeudy fiasco that we've had last decade since all of that has come to prove that here we are, and all it's done is restart it. You know what I mean? It's for the next generation. I'm 45, so we had the curse of Rocky Colavito and all of that stuff, and it's just been restarted. And if you live in Chicago and you're a Cubs fan, something's going to happen around now that's restarted it for the Cubs for you. You won't have the Billy Goat. The neighborhood will change wherever, the new Wrigley Field will be for that, whatever it is. History will repeat itself for you. And this is just it for us. Even the Cleveland Crunch are back. The Cleveland Crunch are back in Cleveland. They're actually at the Wolfstein Center. Their first game is in January. So if you were into that and you had, when you were a kid, if you loved Kai Hoskevy and Otto Orff and all those dudes, check that out. Those dudes are back. I'm looking over to watch the Lions and the Rams. Right now the Lions are up 7-0, and that's good football. The Browns have not had sustained good football in a while. Even Detroit gets good football once in a while. The Browns have just man, this was rough to watch. So if you have your quarter, so let me ask you this. So if you I don't know what emojis are here on Facebook, because that's mostly what I'm seeing here. But give me if you think the Browns are need to build on the offense next year in the draft, give me a thumbs up. Give a heart if you think they need to build on the defense. Just I want to see where you guys are at, or comment in here. Let me know. Yeah, the Lions did have it rough for a bit. They had Scott Mitchell. Those Scott Mitchell days were very rough. Yeah, Joshua, you want the line? I think that's I think it's definitely possible, man. But there's got to be somebody out there. I mean, they're going to have to. Everybody knows they're going to have to replace that line. Everybody's a free agent. Everybody's old. I don't know how you do that in a full off season. Maybe use some of the picks we've got to trade for vets. Maybe we get some in a draft. Are we looking at maybe a new coach? I had a buddy of mine say, man, I hope this doesn't mean that Dion's going to end up being the coach of the Browns. And I kind of laughed. But then, in my head, I started thinking about, what would be some of the, variants of that sort of situation. And, I kind of feel like Dion, if he came here and he was like the CEO type thing of the Browns, where he was like the head coach, he wasn't necessarily the X's and O's guy, he could probably get like a pretty all-star cast of coordinators coming here to, be with the Browns. I mean, could you, Matt, do you think John Gruden could end up being his offensive coordinator? I don't necessarily know who he would get on defense, but he played with a lot of great defensive dudes. Maybe get, I don't know, like a Rod Woodson over there. I don't know what his, I obviously don't, I have no idea what anybody's credentials are, but I definitely, I think at the NFL level, he might have the cachet to have some guys come in there. Joshua says he's not convinced that Kevin is the problem. He thinks he's part of it, but he doesn't get to call the plays. He isn't on the field. That's true. He calls the plays. He's not on the field. And there's also the idea out there that Kevin Stefanski isn't calling the plays. That stuff's been coming from up top, which was, the problem back to Ray Farmer. So, I mean, who knows? Whether or not Stefanski's calling the plays himself. So if that's the situation, then who are you even gonna get to come in and replace him then? Because you're not going to get nobody wants to come in here and have the owner in their ear like that. I mean, they just did that documentary on Jerry Jones, right? I had people, I bartend. People come into the bar recently talking about Jerry Jones and that documentary and just how, I mean, nobody wants to work for somebody like that. Whether you are working in an office or a football team or wherever it is, nobody wants to work in that environment for that dude. He's just a rich a-hole, and that's kind of, and I'm not casting stones. I don't know the Haslams. They may be the nicest people in the whole world, but I would imagine that people who don't, it must suck spending your whole life trying to learn a trade or a skill, you master a skill, and then you you have this turnpike gas station tycoon, and they are I don't know, man, why can't they get it together with this team? This has just been crazy. It has just been crazy with the Haslams, man. And even before that, with Lerner's son, right? It has just been it has been wild. And I don't think that there are things like that in a lot of other NFL cities. And that's just Cleveland, man. the Browns lose. They Browns got their butts whipped by the Bears today. Final score: Browns scored 3 points. The Browns at 1 point in the game in the second quarter. They had one first down in the game, and it was the first time in maybe like 30 years or something they were saying on the game that the Bears defense had done that to a team. So the Browns came out historically cold this afternoon, but Shedeur, he warmed up a little bit, and you did see improvement from him. Like I said, he stood in that pocket, dude. He made some really, really, really nice throws, but he was just running for his life all game. And so we are with the Browns. We got 3 wins, and sitting here thinking about what's next. Joshua Ead says, sad to say he moved the team. Art was the best of the last few owners. Well, the thing about Art, though, is that so Art took the team over, and Art jettisoned Jim Brown, Mike Brown, got rid of Bernie, moved the team. I mean, Art was really kind of the beginning of the end for him. I mean, he did own him for a long time, but there was a lot of crazy stuff that Art did with the Browns. He kind of put them on a very put them on a negative arc. Some say that he's the one that ended, that whole winning dynasty. I don't know. I wasn't alive. I was born in 1980. So they were already bad by the time I was alive. I'm with you, Logan. You want to jump on and talk about it? Hey, Logan, that link is still good if you want to jump on and talk about it. Says he's still learning. I'll give him grace for that, but you can't have a pocket passer and no line to let him be in the pocket. No, man, I agree with that. But dude, he's more than just a pocket passer, man. He's good on his feet. I think that I think it was the first drive when I'm at the gym right now trying to fight everywhere. That first drive when he was like a 13, 14-yard gain, and then he didn't put the ball out for that first down. I mean, that was something that I think kind of killed the momentum of that offense. I think that Shedeur is somebody who he builds on big plays. So, if he doesn't have if a big play like that gets taken away from him, then, I think that will kind of kill his momentum, which, by the way, I think if they would have challenged, which I think they could have challenged, I don't know if they could have, but I think they could have challenged that, and they didn't challenge it because they had just lost a stupid challenge on the placement on the 1 yard line on the punt return. You know that they were showing replays of that up on the scoreboard. And the Browns have people who see the replays of that and then radio down and tell them whether or not to challenge that stuff. So everybody saw that. There was no reason to challenge that. Kevin, come on, bro. Everybody knows there was no reason to challenge that. Dude. Logan, I'm depressed. Like that, dude. And then you wasted that challenge. And so then you didn't have it. Then you didn't have it when you needed it. Because what are you gonna? Because you're gonna waste both your challenges in the first drive of the first quarter. Come on, bro. Cheesy cheese. We're not mad about losing. We know we lost. That's not what we're talking about. We're not what we're mad about. I'm sorry, we're getting a message here from Mike Wilkes. Sorry, interrupted the show, and it took me forever to be able to get to the messages because I'm not very good on the phone right now. Killing the momentum here. I checked my phone here. Hey, Mike, I tried to call you earlier. I don't know how to. So anyways, as we get back to the show, Shane says, I'm glad I didn't have the technology to watch today, buddy. Dude, if you had the technology to watch today, you would have seen a throw from Shadur Sanders, a touchdown throw. A throw that, so do you remember? I don't know if you remember ever watching, if you ever saw Brett Favre throw, or Dan Marino, or and I'm not comparing him. Okay, I'm not comparing him to these guys. I'm saying this throw, in particular, dude, he threw it into coverage, and like the corner, you see, had to see the throw, and he hit Judy. Like, he just threaded the needle on this thing, and he hit Judy. Like, I don't know where the camera is. Right here. Here. Right here. See? Do you see right here? This is where he hit him. Right? You hit him here. Right? Right there. The ball was here. It was like this in the end zone, right? So it was like this. And I yelled, "Touchdown Browns!" That's what I did. It was like this. And I yelled, "Touchdown Browns!" And my wife's from the other room said, "Oh, the Browns scored?" And I yelled back to her, "I don't know." Because Jerry Jeudy, when he had it here, gave it to the other guy. What are my thoughts on Miles' sack being called half a sack? I thought it was generous that he got half a sack, to be honest. He was there late. You know, I thought it was generous that they gave him half a sack. You know, but I think they're trying to help him. You know, he's a good dude, and everybody's trying to help him get that record. You know, I guess he gets half the sack, but he was late. He definitely was late on that sack. You know, they are definitely missing the middle of that line. The middle of that line is, you know, the middle of that line is a lot weaker, you know. Yeah, we can't get Judy DFA'd because of, you know, the cap implications. You know, there's not much you can do here about this. The Browns are just kind of like where they are. You know, they're in the situation that they are in. There's really not much the Browns can do here. You know, so we just gotta, you're right now, if you're a Browns fan, you just have to be looking for the positives, right? So in order to, look for the positives, you first have to know what the negatives are. So you can look at, the other side of it. Browns go down 31-3. They get mauled by the Bears. There were a few highlights, though. I hate that when in Cleveland, it's so toxic here, man, that like, and it was like this with Baker. Pretty much every quarterback that's here, there's a for and an against. And I've lived in Chicago, I've lived in New Jersey, so I've had I've been a part of a couple different fan bases. I was born here, but I've been a couple different places, and um, it's different here, man. It's definitely different here. Like when in Chicago, when everybody hated Jay Cutler, everybody hated Jay Cutler. Like everybody did. But when everybody loved him, they loved him. But nobody rooted against him. They were just either happy or pissed. Here it's like, you look in the chats and, people talking about, whether they're whether they're riding them or not. It's just like, it's crazy. And I understand because of, who his dad is and stuff he has in, his like Instagram following and stuff. The dude there are like Shedeur fans, and then there are people from Cleveland who are Browns fans, right? So I get all that. But the people who are like rooting against him are crazy. The Browns fans that are rooting, it's wild. Dude, the stats weren't great, but dude, you're not drafting another quarterback. There's nobody that's going to come out in that draft next year that's going to be better than what this kid has given you, man. He makes big plays. He grows every week. Like he's I don't know, man. I'm here for it, dude. And every Browns fan should be too. Like this is the first step of like getting through like the next, whatever the next era of Browns football is. And if you want it to like happen while Myles Garrett is in his like prime, where he has any prime left, like has to happen like now. Like Sanders has to be it. So let's go, man. Joshua says, I think Archie is overrated and they will still have him as the best coming out. Dude, Archie I don't even think is coming out. But dude, I haven't heard his name in 3 months. I haven't heard his name in 3 months, man. A lot of people are saying, Ronell says the Judy has to go. And, that's another one of those things too. Okay, Judy's got to go, but what do you do with him? You're not going to trade him. Who's going to take him? We thought that was a team-friendly deal when he signed it, but it's only a team-friendly deal if, like, you're not Jerry Jeudy, I guess, right? Like, I still, like, that dude, I could even, like, I wasn't outraged when he did the juke thing and they fumbled the ball. That was like not outrageous to me, man. There were people that like were upset about the flip, and that didn't bother me. But like, dude, what you're trying to like evaluate this quarterback, and there are so many people that are like looking for things against him. And you literally took a touchdown from this kid put this ball, like, this is one of, if you had just held on to that ball that he put in there so perfectly, like, you took a highlight away from that kid. And Fannin too. I mean, I get it, dude. Guys drop the balls, dude. But like, and I get that, like, there are things that he needs to do better. But dude, he is making throws that we have been wishing a quarterback to make those throws here. And I'm not saying he's going to be those other guys that I was talking about before. But he's making those throws, man. And his interceptions aren't these crazy interceptions. Like, so far, I can live with what I'm seeing, especially because of the growth around it. Yeah, man. Derek's right. You know, props for Sanders pushing the ball deeper. Keep pushing and pushing and pushing. You know, it's just the Browns are who we said they are, you know, to quote Dennis Green. Here we are what, 3, doesn't even matter, we're at 3-11. I don't know where that puts us at for the draft this year as far as where we are in the draft picks, but you know, I just don't. Mendoza is not. I don't know. I don't think he is. I don't think he's necessarily the guy. You know. I don't. I don't think he's the guy that. Yeah, I don't know. I don't think he. I don't think he's the guy that. He's not going to be better than what Shedeur is going to turn out to be. His ceiling. Because those throws that he made are the top of the ceiling. Period. Those are the throws that elite quarterbacks make. So get coaches. If they're not on the staff already, get the coaches in to build around this kid. He's 22 years old. Develop him. That's like you do it in every other. I understand that sports is different than everything else, but you do it in every other field. You know, they say the difference between like the goods and the greats, right, isn't necessarily the talent. It's their work ethic and those sorts of things. Well, this kid seems to have it. At least on the short-term basis. But I bet you it's on a long-term basis, man, because he seems to have those things, man. Like, Him and his brothers both made it to the NFL. You know, and they're not excuse me. They're not he is literally everything that you have wanted your quarterback to be since we have come back. This kid is. And he's a 5th round pick. So he's an underdog, which is also something that you should all love. He's a Cleveland Brown, man. You should be rooting for him. I'll catch up with the comments here. Says, could Sanders fit the play design that we had for Flacco with that arm? I mean, I think he definitely could if he had a line to protect him. The problem was that Flacco couldn't fit that play design because nobody can, because everybody's just getting hit. Everybody's just getting creamed, you know? Browns fan 225, this useless organization is worth nothing. Fire everybody. Excuse me, fire everybody, but then who do you hire? If you're gonna, do something like that, you gotta give me a solution. Joshua says he gets a lot of hate for his first year passes that yards after catch, but hey, forward progress is forward progress. Good decisions are good decisions. Yeah, I think he's, I don't know, man. I think he's going to be the kid. You're going to have to, you have to develop somebody. Nobody has come in here. We keep waiting for somebody to come in and be our savior. We're nobody's savior, or nobody's our savior. No one's coming. We have to develop somebody eventually. We eventually are going to have to develop somebody. And think about this. Like this kid that we have here is 22 years old. He has an NFL pedigree, right? He wants to be here. He's like living out in like Medina, right? So he's like set himself up with like a big place. He's had videos of like having Dion out there, right? Dude, he's setting himself up like his football fortress, right? He doesn't seem to really care about the nightlife. He's coming in here and having money is like not a thing. Because he even said he grew up in a 30,000 square foot house. So like all of a sudden, like being an NFL star isn't like something that like is changing his life. So I was Albert Bell bumping into the table there. I got a 15-year-old pitty here named Albert Bell. That if you know me, is always around me. But his father's Deion Sanders. He's used to this. So, you're not going to have a Johnny Manziel, Justin Gilbert situation here. So if the difference between like somebody at this level who's like, a 67 on Madden or a 92 in Madden or an 86 in Madden, whatever, is the extra stuff that they put in, you got a kid who's like willing to do it. Like he went that he has been so humble throughout this whole situation. He's been humble, he's been honest. So I really, I think the point of me coming on here today was really just kind of to talk to you guys, see where you're at, and really just want to go out there and make sure, put support out there for our quarterback, man. I think, we got our ass kicked today, but I think I'm still there for Shedeur. I think that we don't waste a pick, and we move forward. Sam says, shout out to Sam. Says he wasn't expecting a win. All he wanted was a competitive, watchable game. All he gets is the Willy Wonka, you lose, sir. Good day, sir. More dog doo-doo football. Hey, man, it was not good. All right, guys, make sure that you we did get curb stomped, man. I got new teeth. So I ready to get curb stomped again next week. Make sure you check us out. Tuesday, we'll have the Tuesday Night Boys, Chad and Angel and Mike. That will be at 7:30. I think 7, right? 7:30. And then on Saturday, it'll be me, Sam, and Mike. And we'll see you at 10 o'clock. You guys have a great one. Who we got next week? Oh, man. Dude, let me sleep on this week before I even start thinking about next week, man. I still have to process Jerry Judy. You guys have a great weekend. Be safe.